Hey guys, I'm Andrew, also known as I Nerd, and I love to talk about movies and TV shows way too much. With that in mind, join me down in the comments down below because in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the entire MCU, and I just want to be perfectly clear, all the movies and TV shows that range from 2008's Iron Man all the way to 2026 Wonder Man. So that means all the TV shows and all the movies based in the MCU. But without further ado, let's get into it. In last place, in dead last place, it's probably going to shock you. I have Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm not going to spend a whole lot about this talking about it because I've talked a lot on my channel before. But if you want to know why this is the worst MCU project ever, watch this video. But I rate it a 0 out of 10. In 54th place, it might shock you again, I have Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok sucks. The comedy does not hit. The reason why you guys got Thor Love and Thunder is because you guys praise Thor Ragnarok so much. Thor is not funny. He's not supposed to be a comedic character and everything. He's just not supposed to be funny. He's supposed to be dark, and serious, and gloomy. And I will say, I prefer Thor Love and Thunder way more than Thor Ragnarok. Because at least in that way it has some funny moments, and I love the goats and everything. Jane Foster is in it as well, and I just think Thor Love and Thunder is just a better movie than Ragnarok. In Ragnarok, you don't get any funny moments. Loki's not even funny. The only thing that I think is okay is that he's a friend for work, and I like that scene because it was made by a Make-A-Wish kid, and it was a Just thing. So, out of that, I give it a 1 out of 10. In 53rd place, I have Werewolf by Night. I'm just gonna say it, this is not good. It's not good. It really takes a cake of managing to be 55 minutes of pure boredom and nothingness. The action scenes have too much. The post-production and CGI just look fake. The characters are one-dimensional, and the plot is not interesting at all. It is the project it pays for, and in the MCU, a whole plot that I forget about, and I just forget it exists, period. Like, I don't know what it is that made Marvel do this and make it, but it's not that interesting. It's not interesting, period. It is super forgettable, which is why I rate it just a 1 out of 10. 52nd place, I have Secret Invasion. Now, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, but I thought this was a really good execution. Yes, it does have its problems, but I just thought some things were good. I didn't like how they killed Maria Hill just to make a point. The Super Skrulls thing didn't really make anything to me. The only thing that I thought was really interesting about this show was that Tony's friend Rhodey was a Skrull the entire time since Civil War, so he didn't experience any of the thing that happened after that. He doesn't even probably know that Tony's even dead. But I will say I do rate it a 1 out of 10 nonetheless. In 51st place, I have She-Hulk. I feel so sorry for Tatiana Maslany. Sorry if I butchered the name, as she did a great job as a portrayal as She-Hulk, but she was given stupid writing. Unfortunately, the CGI was just super laughable. It was really weird for the choices of the facial expression of Abomination 2 and the Hulk. The more they try to make them look like they're real-life actors, the worse that it seems to get. Daredevil was the only highlight of the entire show, but even still, he couldn't really save it and carry it by himself. In the last half of the series, where she broke the fourth wall break, was just stupid. And don't even get me started on her twerking with Megan Thee Stallion at like a post-credit scene at the end of one of the episodes. That was just so cringe, which is why, obviously, it's a 1 out of 10. In 50th place, I have Black Widow. I want to start with how they skipped 20 years of her life. This is a Black Widow movie, and it's supposed to be explaining how she became and how she is and how she did not. It did not show her training, did not show how they got their name, and I'm pretty sure it was just stupid. And I also did want to see her get abandoned by her mother and the test they did to show that she was special. Also, I thought this movie would tell us what happened in Budapest with her and Hawkeye, but it did not tell us and it did not give us that. The Red Guardian and Yelena were the highlights of this movie, and in my honest opinion, I feel like they outshine Natasha Romanoff in her own movie. Also, why did we get her movie in 2021? In my opinion, I feel like we should have gotten her movie back in Phase 1. Why did we get it when her character died right after Endgame? And not even that, it is a prequel to where you have to watch it between Infinity War, before Infinity War, after its Civil War. And I just did not like that. Like, it's a prequel, it doesn't work, it's a 1 out of 10 in my opinion. In 49th place, I have Ironheart. This is a okay show at best. Riri Williams was not that interested. I did not enjoy her in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and I do not like how she is continuing the legacy of Iron Man. Just because she built a new suit and just because she did that does not mean she really doesn't even know Iron Man or Tony and his legacy that much. She has never met him, and that is stupid. And in my honest opinion, I would rather have Harley, the little boy from Iron Man 3, that helped out Tony in that movie, to become the next Iron Man. Or see a grown-up version of her daughter, Morgan Stark, take on the mantle of Iron Man. And I would love that, but I just thought it was dumb, and I didn't really enjoy his Fisto. I thought he was okay too. So I rated a 1.2 out of 10. In 48th place, I have Echo. It was an okay show at best, just like Ironheart. I like the Echo character, but I just think she is not a good enough character to have her own show. And the highlight of the show for me was Daredevil showing up, and the other thing that I didn't really enjoy is the show entirely. I just think Marvel wanted you to also just forget about it because they put all 6 episodes out all at once instead of doing it week to week. And that does tell you something about if a show is going to be bad or not. But I rate this a 1 out of 10. In 47th place, I have Moon Knight. Moon Knight was an interesting character and had an interesting concept. I just thought it was executed just poorly, just a tad. The suit looked fantastic. I loved everything about it. I enjoyed the personalities of Moon Knight and how they had to come together to learn to work together. Moon Knight would be higher on my list, but if we haven't seen him in 3 years or so, why would I want more of him? Like, I want more of him, but it's been 3 years since we saw him, and I think Marvel, frankly, I just think Marvel forgot about that Moon Knight existing. But for that, I just rate the show a 1 out of 10. In 46th place, I have Thor: The Dark World. This movie has an underdeveloped plot, and the humor just feels forced. Thor's mom, Frigga, dies because of Loki. The side plot, which Darcy, Eric, and Sylvie did not make any sense, and frankly, they did not need to be in this movie because they were just pointless. The villain is unforgettable to the point where I don't even remember his name and his intentions about the movie and why he hates Thor and everything. The only good thing about this movie is Thor and Loki's chemistry, but other than that, I just give it a flat out 1 out of 10. In 45th place, I have The Incredible Hulk. The film struggled to find a consistent tone. Many critics felt like the character development, especially of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Elam Blonsky, also known as the Abomination, was seen as an underdeveloped villain. Anything that is redeeming about this movie is the Hulk and the Abomination designs. Other than that, I rate this a 2 out of 10. In 44th place, I have Iron Man 2. I just felt it was poorly written and it was trying to do too much at once. Ivan Vanko, aka Whiplash, is often credited as a lackluster antagonist, and I just felt he wasn't fully invested and not a good villain. The humor and emotion is the only good thing, and that was Iron Man. Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is a phenomenal actor, and I am not surprised that he did so good, and him himself could carry a bad movie, which is why I rate it a 3 out of 10.
Great, you
In
dedicated to me.
43rd place, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania. Now, I know people are going to scream at me that I have it this high up on the list, but I think the movie is probably the most irrelevant movie in the MCU, and I think that's why it's so memorable to me, because Jonathan Majors was supposed to play a big part in the future of Marvel and was supposed to be the new big bag for the multiverse saga, but he got fired because he got into some bad stuff, and all the post-credit scenes and everything that you have been going through just went nowhere. Forget they switched it up, and now they put their focus on Doctor Doom, and Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to save the MCU, which I think is super funny and super good. The movie is all over the place though. Jonathan Majors as Kane is terrifying. Paul Rudd was great as always, and I wasn't expecting them to bring Darren Cross back as MODOK. The comedy isn't the same just because in the first two movies you had Lewis and Lewis's friends and Scott's friend. Now in this one, that they're in the quantum realm, you don't have that, and it just doesn't sit right with me, which is why I would just rate it a 3 out of 10 at best. In 42nd place, I have Captain Marvel. The plot felt like it was just trying to do too much at once, juggling an origin story, cosmic warfare, and humor without giving enough time to really develop Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, as a character. Instead of making me care about her journey, the movie just told me she was the most powerful and expecting to be that to be enough, and that wasn't enough. Some cool moments, but the pacing was uneven, with scenes that was just dragging and others just felt like it was rushed. And don't even get me started on how Nick Fury loses his flippant eye to a cat. That was so stupid, but I rate it a 3 out of 10. In 41st place, I have The Marvels. The standout of this movie is the three actresses' chemistry and Miss Marvel being a lovable superfan. Everyone was a mess, and some parts were just driving along a little too long. And the dance scene with Brie Larson and Satan was not it at all, and not that interesting. And it just didn't need to be in the movie. If that part of the movie was just cut out, the entire movie would jump up a few extra points for me. The best thing in this movie was the flirting scene where they're trying to eat the crewmates in an abandoned ship. And the post-credit scene teases the X-Men, but it really doesn't go anywhere. And I feel like the past few years, the post-credit scenes just been building up to stuff, and they don't follow up with it until like 5-6 years later, and it actually makes me mad. The villain is the worst version of Ronan the Accuser. Like, Ronan was bad, but take this character in the movie and it's worse than Ronan. But I rate it a 3 out of 10 just because I love the three actors' chemistry and I love Miss Marvel. In 40th place, I have Agatha All Along. This was a good show. I was not as hyped when the show came out because honestly, I didn't know this show was coming out in the first place. And other than Agatha, I didn't find anything really impressive or interesting about the other characters in the show. I prefer Agatha as a side character and not as the main character herself. She has those side character vibes to me, just that. So I rate it a 3 out of 10. In 39th place, I have Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. To me, this is the Marvel movie that got dealt the worst hand because R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. I will admit, a good acting, nice effects, but you leave the film feeling underwhelmed by a silly plot. I thought Shuri was super well written, and when she saw Killmonger when she took the heart-shaped herb was shocking to me. And when the mother died, I kinda was expecting it. I was expecting someone to die, but I kinda knew that it was gonna be her and everything. Also, Namor did not work for me as a villain. He wasn't that compelling, and it wasn't interesting of a villain to me. And Ironheart was just a stupid side character who made her own Iron Man suit, but she literally has no connection to Tony, and I would have rather much have the kid from Iron Man 3 who helped Tony out, or even his daughter to be the new Iron Man, which is why I rate it a 3 out of 10. In 38th place, I got Thor Love and Thunder. The story has a captivating storyline. Thor's feeling is lost and alone. Jane Foster returns as well with her struggles of compelling and having cancer. Gore the God Butcher and ties back to his backstory and the love of his child and what made him become the butcher that he is today because the gods literally used him and didn't give him it or help him like they said they would, which I think is kind of messed up in my opinion. I love the Screaming Goats though, and the best part of this movie is the final battle where he shares his godlike powers to the kids that got kidnapped. Unfortunately, Jake Foster did die of cancer. She was a very good Thor in my opinion, and I thought it was a very sweet that she got to go to Valhalla after she did pass. I also really liked the first part of the movie with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Thor village. I thought that was very well written. But I will say I do have to rate this only a 3 out of 10. In 37th place, I have Avengers Age of Ultron. This is one of the weaker entries in the MCU. Its pacing is all over the place. There is a lack of any serious character development, and there are some questionable CGI moments that give some action scenes an unrealistic feel. The best part about this movie is the language scene in the beginning and everybody at the party trying to lift Thor's hammer. AK, if you can see the screen and you pay attention at the right moment, you can see Captain America like jerk, moaning a little bit, and you can see it move. Fun fact about that scene, in the behind the scenes, it was revealed that Captain America was able to wield Mjolnir at the time, but out of respect for Thor, he didn't want to outshine him. So that was pretty cool. Also, my favorite scene, absolute favorite scene of this movie, is the Hulk versus Iron Man Buster fight in that scene. I think that is the best fight scene in the entire movie. So I give this movie a solid 4 out of 10. In 36th place, I have Spider-Man Far From Home. I thought the movie was kind of bland, and I didn't think Mysterio was that threatening as I would like it to be. A lot of the characters were underused, like Ned, MJ, Brad, and even Flash. There were so many plot holes. I don't get why Peter gave Mysterio the glasses when he should have told Mysterio his real identity and everything because he used to work for Tony. Also, Peter. In the same scene, Peter took off his mask in a public bar. Why? That is probably the most stupidest thing that he could do because he's so worried about people knowing his identity. But he goes to a public bar with Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, and just doesn't have his mask on. Like, what? And I also thought Nick Fury turned out just to be a Skrull, was just, ugh. I do think the post-credit scene with J. Jonah Jameson as he leaks Peter's identity is the best post-credit scene in the MCU, which is why I rate it a solid 4 out of 10. In 35th place, I got Ant-Man and the Wasp. The movie's action scenes were mediocre at best, and the humor was just mid. The storyline was just plain simple. The Ant-Man movies lack strong villains in my opinion than other MCU movies and villains. Ghost was just annoying, and despite her great performance and a fair backstory, she doesn't seem to do much. Plus, it's really just a movie of people playing tag and hot potato with a giant building the entire time. But I will say that this movie gets a little bit more hate than it deserves just because it was the movie that came right after Infinity War, and people were like, oh, where's Ant-Man? He sat out this movie, and I just felt like it doesn't get the hate. It gets the hate that it doesn't deserve. So For that reason, I give it a 4 out of 10. In 34th place, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I did not expect this movie to be this good. I'm a big fan of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and while I do think this one is the better one of the MCU movies, this one is just better practically in every way, shape, or form. The plot is very well structured, the pacing is great, the movie also explores its characters way more thoroughly than the previous one. The struggle of finding a place where you belong is a central theme in this movie, and every important character has their own struggles related to this movie and film. The performances are great as usual. Every actor really brings their own flavor to their characters. The movie also has great visuals with all the wacky and fun ideas you may expect from a space movie, nonetheless a Guardians movie. The action scenes are great. The CGI is flawless. Every character is great and has a great sense of humor, especially Drax. It's so much comedy being presented, it's actually a little too much though for me sometimes, especially in serious moments though. Some of the characters feel like they exist only just to be comic relief, aka Mantis. But even though they also have serious struggles that deserve a more serious treatment than they get. But this movie gets a 4.5 out of 10. In 33rd place, I got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You have Bucky and Sam back as a great duo. The Flag Smashers were a very excellent villain and a really solid to the story. And I love Martin Zemo and his little dance move in episode 4, I think it was. I will say though, my favorite and the best character in the show was John Walker, just because he's a man that was just really following orders, and he is just broken inside. I will say though, it was wrong for him to kill one of the bad guys with Captain America's shield. Also, this is the best suit of Captain America that we have ever seen, and this show really sold me on Anthony Mackie on becoming Captain America, and it was just great. And Peggy Carter's niece was also really good, and it turned out she was the bad guy in running the Flag Smashers operation to begin with, which was a good twist. So I rate it a 4 out of 10. In 32nd place, I have Hawkeye. I like the beginning and how Kate Bishop is inspired by Hawkeye to start fighting crime, and the opening sequence is quite good. But it goes downhill from there. Kate finds an illegal auction while at the Christmas party where her mother and her fiance are at, and gets into her first fight when robbers break in. I was excited about this, judging by the fact that she had so much martial arts and training. But what I find disappoints me is the sloppiness. It just looks weird and the CGI is just awful. But I will say, I am glad that I get Kingpin back in the show. But other than that, I rate it a 4 out of 10. In 31st place, I got Miss Marvel. I think this show is very weird, which I kind of like because I'm kind of weird myself. Yes, that is true. But the storyline and everything was just boring to me. But I love Mama Filati, sorry if I butchered the name, as Miss Marvel. I like her best friend, Bruno, and a relationship with her family is the highlight of the show. But I did think it had a very weak finale, and the post-credit scene was just, in my opinion, the best part about this entire show. My favorite episode was the series in the first episode. The first episode was like the only good episode in my opinion, which is why I rate it a 4 out of 10. And closing out the 30 section of this video, in 30th place, I got Thor. Thor was an interesting film. It looked visually spectacular. The action scenes were pretty fun, and there was a decent amount of humor in it. But also, it pushed the love story aspect a little too hard in my opinion. Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman just didn't have any on-screen chemistry in my opinion, and it just felt forced. The relationship between Thor and Loki is undeniably the best part about this film. And the Stanley cameo in this one was super, super funny and everything. My favorite humorous moment in this movie is when Jane and Thor are at the coffee shop. He thinks, I like this Jake, but once done, he slams it on the floor and it's like another. I thought that was absolutely so funny. And Odin, the fact that you stripped Thor away from his powers just because he made an immature move, yes, it was immature, but also, you were young once and you started the war before because you were immature. So you can't be a hypocrite. So I rate it a 4 out of 10. In 29th place, I have Doctor Strange. I thought this was a good introduction to the character of Doctor Strange, but the film itself was kind of boring. It didn't hold up in my attention span, and I felt like Dormammu was good, but the events leading up to it was just weren't that interesting. The character development wasn't great in the post-credit scene to set up something that they didn't even follow up with, which is stupid, with the Doctor Strange sequel. Yes, the character Modo, whatever his name was, did make an appearance in Doctor Strange in Multiverse 5, but it wasn't that same character. So, like, what the flip? So, I rate it a 4 out of 10. In 28th place, I got Eyes of Wakanda. I just wish it was longer than 4 episodes. And I like the concept of them exploring the Asians and the fate of Wakanda. So I rate it a 4 out of 10. In 27th place, I got Eternals. I enjoyed the choices made within the story and how the Sentinels use planets as hosts for breeding and recycling, use planets in order to make new Celestials. But I generally enjoy the universe builder stories in general, even those with obvious flaws. The Deviants unfortunately never really feel like a real antagonist force. Instead, they're just there to help the story progress and be used as fodder for action sequences. But in the end, it was well worth watching, and if they take the negatives feedback and use it properly, and I do believe a sequel could be even better. Also, the post-credit scene sets up Blade, but who knows if we're even getting the Blade movie because it's been in production for so long at this point. But I rate this a solid 5 out of 10. In 26th place, I have Wonder Man. It's a great show. I thought I was really not going to like it, but it was really enjoyable. And it was about a guy who has powers and gets targeted because people in the industry of Hollywood don't want actors to have like superpowers or whatever. And I really enjoyed the chemistry between Wonder Man and Trevor. I thought that was super, super good, and I can't wait to see more of it. But for now, until we get a season 2, I rate it a 5 out of 10. In 25th place, I have What If. It was a good show. I like all the episodes. I like how it was the Guardians of the Multiverse. I like to have that they played out and everything. My favorite episodes in season 1. I like season 2 and season 3, but to me, season 1 is the best season. So my favorite episode of the first season is What If T'Challa Became Star-Lord. I just wish that they made episodes that the fans want to see. Like, what if the other 50% of the population got snapped instead of the one that we got and everything? And what if Star-Lord didn't hit Thanos and everything like that? So I rate it a 5 out of 10. In 24th place, I got the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It ends Phase Force on a satisfying high, delivering a short piece of festive fun that still has a lot of humor in it and emotional weight expected of a James Gunn project, and a reminder that he was the best filmmakers Marvel ever had other than the Russo brothers. Kevin Bacon with a great little cameo in this movie, and the soundtrack is great as always. And I thought it was super sweet that we found out that Mantis and Peter Quill are brother and sister. I also really loved how Nebula got Bucky's arm for Rocket as a Christmas present. Any sad to know that this is the last time we saw the Guardians happy. And, you know, Guardians 3 is super sad because of Rock and everything. But Guardians 3 is going to be later in this video, so stick around. But for now, I rate this movie a 5 out of 10. In 23rd place, I got Marvel Zombies. I'll be completely honest, I watched it just because I wanted to watch it because it was Marvel, but it just wasn't that interesting. And it's like I can watch it once and never watch it again because it just doesn't have the rewatchable ability for me. So I rate it a 5 out of 10. In 22nd place, I have Daredevil Born Again. This is a great continuation to the Daredevil Netflix show. The characters are well written. Karen was really more enjoyable in the season. And the fact that they killed off Foggy was bruh. And it literally made Matt Murdock give up on being Daredevil for like the first few episodes and everything like that. The couple episodes were crazy. This entire season was just really good. And I hope they have the rest of the Defenders and everything. But right now, it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like, will they, won't they type thing that they're going to be, whatever. And I'm in the process of watching season 2. And it is so good right now. And I think it's still a continuation and a good continuation. So I rate it a 7 out of 10. In 21st place, I got Captain America: The First Avenger. This is where we got a big leap in quality, entertainment, and everything. Fantastic characters, great writing. The chemistry between Chris Evans and Haley Atwell is phenomenal. I like how it's the 1940s. Also, I really enjoyed Steve and Bucky's chemistry. Red Skull was also more menacing as a villain, and as well as kind of terrifying him. Like, I was terrified. And my favorite scene in this movie is when Bucky and Steve are talking to one another. Bucky is about to go to the war and everything, and Steve is like, no, sorry, Bucky's like, don't do anything stupid until I get back, and Steve responds with, how can I? You're taking all the stupid with you. And I think that sums up their fantastic romance right then and there, which is why I rate it 7 out of 10. And we just reached the top 20. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. And without further ado, let's get into our top 20. In 20th place, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Marvel took a big risk making this movie, and it paid off. This movie had a perfect blend of comedy, action, and heartfelt moments. And when Groot sacrificed himself to save his friend and said, "We are Groot," it was so emotional. It even got me tearing up. And I thought that was super good. And it had a major impact on Rocket nonetheless. I want to be perfectly clear that the Groot that we see in the later movies is this Groot's son in this movie. I want to be very clear about that because some people get confused on that. But also, Ronan the Accuser was a great villain, and honestly, it is the most underrated villain in my opinion, just because he wasn't dealing with anybody's crap, especially Thanos, because he was sick and tired of being Thanos' minion. But I will say, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie has the best soundtrack in not just Marvel, but in any movie or TV show, period. Which is why I rate this movie a 7 out of, you guessed it, 10. In 19th place, I have Brave New World. This movie was well grounded and had great character development, and this movie sold me on Anthony Mackie being the new Captain America. I also really enjoyed Danny Ramos as the new Falcon. The best part about this movie is the final battle between Red Hulk and Sam Wilson. This movie feels like a direct sequel to the 2000 Incredible Hulk rather than a Captain America movie, but the post-credit scene was fantastic. And I will say, the Red Hulk versus Captain America fight, I just felt like they should have teased it in the trailers, and I think they should have just made it a big surprise, and I think that would have really got people to the movie theaters better than It really was. But I rate it a solid 7 out of 10 still. In 18th place, I have Iron Man 3. This is the most underrated Marvel movie in the entire franchise. It is overhated, and I feel like people don't give it the credit that it deserves. You've got a perfect blend of action and humor. The plot is amazing. The twist of the Mandarin was juicy, and I did not see that coming. And Tony and Harley's relationship was fantastic. Really love how they showed us the emotional side to Tony Stark and how much that the Battle of New York affected him. Hot take, I think this is the best Iron Man movie out of all of them. I also like how he blew up off his suits and got the surgery for Pepper. That was super sweet. So I rate this movie a 7 out of 10. In 17th place, I have WandaVision. This show brilliantly displays the grief and trauma of Wanda throughout the entire series and explains her history in an empathetic way, which has caused me to cry many times. The different elements of the era are very creative, and I believe that this show the love that Wanda has for Vision and wants to be with him for a long time. So these different eras make her wish sort of come true with all the sitcoms things, and I think that's super cool. And I find it very sad and beautiful, and it's just heartbreaking to me. This show brings out your curiosity side from day one, and it is amazing. It has an amazing writing. The domestic vibe from the show is different from any other Marvel movie or series written, which I find perfect for WandaVision. It is wholesome and it makes you feel like a lot closer to the characters. The addition to the cast brings back Darcy Lewis and Jimmy Woo from Thor 1 and 2, and then obviously in the Ant-Man movies. As well, an older version of Monica Rambeau is amazing. The show was such an emotional roller coaster, and all the actors, especially Elizabeth Olsen, are so talented and are a big part in the creative process of this masterpiece. So I rate it a 7.5 out of 10. In 16th place, I have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It is a great watch and will leave you with laughs, but also at the edge of your seat. Wanda is a great villain in this movie. I like America Chavez and how she can travel through the multiverse. I thought that was a super cool concept, and I also like how the horror aspects of this movie, because obviously Sam Raimi is directing this movie, and he also, if you don't know, if any person alive knows, he directed the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. So I thought that Marvel kind of brought him back to do this movie, and that's super cool. My favorite scene in this movie though is the Illuminati scene, because you have these heroes and they get lovely and cocky, like we can defeat Thanos, we can defeat anything, and then they all immediately die in the movie within 5 seconds to Wanda. And in this movie, we have the stupidest version of Mr. Fantastic, because Mr. Fantastic did not say Wanda, Black Bolt could destroy in one whisper from his mouth. They would all possibly have a chance, but Mr. Fantastic is super stupid, and I love though how John Krasinski, aka Jim from The Office, played Mr. Fantastic in this one. And how is he supposed to be the smartest person in the world when he gives the key ingredient to defeat Wanda? Like, what? But I think that is awesome. But I gotta rate it a 7 out of 10. In 15th place, I got Black Panther 1. I love Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. R.I.P. Chadwick. Wakanda forever for him. I love Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger as well. He's a very well written villain. The CGI in the movie is my biggest problem, because the effects, especially in the final battle, look awful, and it just makes Black Panther and Killmonger's fight just look weird. It's so stupid. To be honest, all the fight scenes just don't look that good. The CGI and the actions are just average at best. I don't like Everett Ross. He adds nothing to the story to me. But other than that, I can't really say anything else bad about this movie. But I will say I love what the jokes are and everything in this movie. So I rate it a 7 out of 10. In 14th place, I have Loki. This has the best concept out of all the TV shows in the MCU. So all the variants of Loki are super cool, a super great, and also super well written. Also, Owen Wilson as Mobius is so funny, and He Who Remains was such a good addition to the last few episodes of the first season. I want to make that clear because I'm talking about the first season and second season in one entry, and it just left for a great cliffhanger Endgame since Endgame, which is super cool. My favorite episode of the series is when Loki gets sent to the Void and meets his other variants and learn why they also got sent to the Void. And it is the first time I should get to feel the multiverse and actually feel that it's the multiverse saga, because the more movies that come out in the multiverse saga just didn't really feel like it was dealing with the multiverse. Also, Sylvie, she plays a great version of Loki, and Miss Minutes was super funny. Also, it had a great send-off to Loki's journey, and his sacrifices that he made are top-notch. And the relationship that he built over the course of the 2 seasons are just really heartwarming. And the moment that he realized that he needs to sacrifice himself to save his friend really punches me in the gut, and it hurts me. But I guess you could say he finally got his throne and his glorious purpose. So I rate it an 8 out of 10. In 13th place, I got Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man, in my opinion, is the most entertaining, funny, and heartwarming movie in the MCU. It had a good storyline, great side plots, and the villain Darren Cross was a fantastic villain, and he was actually interesting. Hands down, my favorite character in this movie is Lewis, and his power of storytelling. I just love everything about Scott and Lewis and their group of friends. Hank Pym was also a good mentor to Scott and encouraged him to be a better father to his daughter. I also like how a heist movie as well, and it has no points in this movie that I felt bored or wanted to shut it off. And the fight scene between Ant-Man and Falcon was spectacular. So I rate this movie a 8 out of 10. In 12th place, it might be controversial, it might be hot, but I have Captain America the Winter Soldier actually. I just want to say Captain America the Winter Soldier is an absolute masterpiece and one of the greatest superhero films of all time. The action sequences were phenomenal, the character development was awesome and fantastic. I just wasn't expecting Bucky to survive the train fall and get brainwashed. That was a super good plot twist in this movie. And Steve at the end said, "I'm not gonna fight you anymore because you're my best friend." That touched my heart. Falcon was also a good addition to the movie. He was a funny side character, and I kinda thought Nick Fury wasn't really gone because they had done a lot of fake outs with Loki in the movies prior to this one. All in all, it's still a very good movie. I give it an 8 out of 10. In 11th place, I have The Avengers. This film has everything you want in a team-up superhero movie into one film. One of my favorite things about this movie is the scenes of urgency and dread. It really does feel like anything can happen and something could go wrong, will go wrong. And the transition scene into introducing each character is awesome, and it fits the tone. Like you have Tony, who is all about technology, whatever, so he gets holograms to see that the Tesseract is taken, and then Captain America is for a man at a time, and he gets like a little paper file and everything about the movie and the adventures. And then Phil Coulson says, spoiler, he survives if you haven't seen the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. And it just was just to bring the team together and work together. So I give this movie a 9 out of 10. And we're just about to reach the top 10. And if you're still here, you're still to go. You're still watching. And if you are still here, then that makes sure you like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, and let's get into the top 10. In 10th place, I got Shang-Chi in the Legend of the Ten Rings. This film really surprised me, to be honest. I found it to be a breath of fresh air, and I wasn't familiar with the character, so I had no idea what to expect. But this was a fantastic movie. Awkwafina was so funny as Katie. The father was also a great villain, but the scene in the movie that really stood out to me was the bus fight scene, and it just the best part in the entire movie, period. I'm sorry I'm stumbling it, but it's just the best part in the entire movie to me. And the post-credit scene was just awesome and phenomenal. But I will say, it's been like 3 to 4 years since we last saw Shang-Chi, so that is why it just barely cracked the top 10 in my opinion. But other than that, I still rate it at 9 out of 10. In 9th place, I have Iron Man 1. This movie kickstarted the entire MCU and made people fall in love with Robert Downey Jr. I will say that the villain was spectacular, and I was not expecting Obadiah Stane to be the villain of the movie. And I will also say I didn't like Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, aka War Machine, and hot take, my favorite suit in this movie was the one that he built in the cave. And I will say I think it had absolute aura. Like, it was aura farming all over the movie, and I thought that was super cool. And I know I said Iron Man 3 is my favorite Iron Man movie earlier in the video, but the reason why this one is just above it is because it's nostalgic for me, and also it was the movie that got me into the MCU, and it was the movie that kickstarted the MCU, like I just said. So I think it was awesome, and I just think it is a fantastic 9 out of 10. In 8th place, I have Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War is basically an Avengers movie in disguise. It is interesting to finally consider some of the collateral damage and civilian deaths caused by the massive amount of destruction caused by the fights of the Avengers and have participated in. The story quickly turns to that the superheroes battling one another. The airport sight scene was awesome, and I thought it was a good scene. And I think it's probably one of my favorite scenes in the MCU because you get Spider-Man, you get Ant-Man, you get Hawkeye back, you get like all these characters fighting one another to see who will win and who's right, who's not right, and everything. And I thought it was a great villain for Bard and Zemo to turn the Avengers against each other, and I just thought it was super cool. And we get Spider-Man in the MCU. This was the movie we get Spider-Man in the MCU, and I was so happy when Iron Man was like, under Ruth, and he just flips in and takes Captain America's shield. I thought that was awesome. Like, super, super, super cool. But I will say, I am a team Iron Man, and I will die on that bench. So, I rate this a 9 out of 10. In 7th place, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie takes us deeper into the heart of the Guardians universe, and it's one of the most compelling stories revolving around especially Rocket past. We dive into his emotional backstory, witnessing the unraveling and his pain and suffering, and that shaped him into the complex character that we know and love today. Rocket's journey is a roller coaster of emotions. The fact that Groot said, "I love you guys," and "we are Groot" was so awesome. But it was him really speaking, because we have been with Groot for so long at this point that we are now finally understanding him. And I thought that was super cool. And I'm just tearing up thinking about it, you guys. And I will say that the High Evolutionary is one of the only villains in the MCU that I actually wanted to get rid of myself. And my favorite scene in this movie is...
Today, I saw who you are. You were born to be a destroyer. You were born to be a death.
But I thought it had a satisfying conclusion to the Guardians story, and I rate this a 9 out of 10. In 6th place, I have Thunderbolts, a surprisingly emotional, raw, and character-driven entry in the MCU. But what makes this movie shine is how well it redeems and develops other characters, even Bob, that got meaningful stuff and everything, the screen time and arcs. There are not a lot of humor in this movie, but when there is, it is phenomenal because of the Red Guardian. But Taskmaster, if you know, you know. Press post-credit scene got me so excited for the future of the MCU and in the longest post-credit scene in the MCU history. But I will say I rate this movie a phenomenal 9 out of 10. In 5th place, I have No Way Home. What do I even say for this phenomenal of a movie? This movie was awesome and fantastic. Story was awesome, fantastic characters, and I love how they brought back Toby and Andrew for this movie, and all of their villains as well. I thought everything was super well done. Aunt May's death crushed me more than I crushed Peter and Happy being together and all that and everything. And I like when they captured the villains and all they were trying to take them on and try to take them to their own universe. And the fact that Peter went toe to toe with Doctor Strange and basically defeated him and trapped him was pretty good. My favorite scene in this movie is when all the 3 Spider-Mans are talking about each other and learning about each other's universe. And I just thought that was super cool and it was absolutely awesome. I will say, the reason why this movie is 5th place for me is because I hated the ending when Peter was like, make everybody forget who Peter Parker is. And the fact that he promised to go see MJ and he would tell her everything and he never did was super annoying. Also, the post-credit scene absolutely went nowhere. So other than that, I rate it a 9 out of 10. In 4th place, I got Deadpool and Wolverine. This to me is the best MCU project since Endgame. The characters were fun, the plot was fantastic, the cameos were so super peak, and I was not expecting them to bring back Chris Evans as the Human Torch, Elektra, X-23, etc. But the 2 cameos in this movie that blew me away was Wesley Snipes as Blade and Channing Tatum's as Gambit. The best action scene in this movie is when Deadpool and Wolverine fight all the variants of Deadpool, and that was the best 4-wall break in the movie.
Hey, do not insult this animal's autonomy. She can decide who her papa is. What's it gonna be, girl, huh? Original recipe or Van Milder here? Ah, that's funny. I can gently tap the 4th wall too. The proposal.
I thought that was super cool and really cool. And my favorite Blade quote in this movie is,
Where do you get that little beauty?
That's Punisher's 18-4.
Which Punisher? There's been like 5 of them.
There's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
but it is super memorable, and I think the villain is just a tad forgettable. But other than that, I rate this movie a phenomenal 10 out of 10. I'm about to reach my top 3, but if you guys are still here after almost 55 entries, make sure, again, you like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, and just be an awesome fan. Like, if you like this, make sure you watch more of my videos, because if you like this one, you'll like all the other ones that I posted in the past, and then the ones I'm going to post in the future. But without further ado, let's get back into it. In 3rd place, I got Fantastic Four: First Steps. This is by far the most accurate Fantastic Four movie. Everyone had a time to shine in this movie, and the movie was actually made, and it felt like the Fantastic Four was actually a family. To me, Johnny was the best part about this movie. He is not the dumb-witted person of the team, unlike the Fox movie, and they did not make him one of the womanizers like Chris Evans, and I thought that was super cool. And he is super smart. They made him smart, and he was the one that found out that the Silver Surfer's language and turned her over and made her have a redemption arc, and that was super cool. Galactus was perfect. This was the Galactus in my favorite part, and my favorite Galactus because he was not a storm cloud, just whatever, and I thought that was super cool. The cast had great chemistry, and They had each a moment to shine with each other and great chemistry with each other. This was the best looking design of the thing that we have ever gotten. The suits were phenomenal, so comic accurate that I love how it was set in a different planet in the multiverse and set in the 60s futuristic time. And Franklin Richard, the fact that he is able to bring back his mother and that he is just as powerful is so mind-blowing. He's like a god. He's like God. Like he has everything, superpowers in the world. And Mr. Fantastic trying to teleport the Earth was just so smart. But unfortunately, Silver Surfer showed up at the last second before they were supposed to teleport and ruin everything. But other than that, I thought it was super great, so a 10 out of 10 rating in my standards. In my runner-up spot, I got Avengers Infinity War. We already knew Thanos was coming, but seeing him wreak havoc across the galaxy was on another level of insanity. Josh Brolin brought a surprising amount of deaths to the meta, and this movie was like a giant crossover event coming to life. Seeing Iron Man team up with Star-Lord, the Thor wielded Bruce Hammer and all that other stuff as a weapon. I thought that was super cool. You got these interactions with pure fan service, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. The Russo brothers did an amazing job just juggling a massive cast, giving everyone a chance to shine. The action sequences were insane. The Wakanda battle was awesome, and the special effects were top notch. This isn't your typical heroes always win Marvel movie, and let me tell you that the ending 7 years later, and I'm still not over it, that is the real tearjerker in this movie, is Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good when Tony realizes Peter is about to be abducted and Peter dies in his arm and Tony can't do anything about it. Just a tearjerker in my eyes. Watching that part of the movie just broke my heart. The only real issue I had with this movie is when Star-Lord hits Thanos when they almost have the gauntlet off. If he just held in for a few more minutes, they probably would have won, but also probably delayed the inevitable. But overall, Avengers Infinity War is a roller coaster, must-watch action MCU thriller, emotional that will leave you breathless, and I think everybody should at least watch this one once in their life. But I rate it a phenomenal 10 out of 10. In first place, I got Endgame. Endgame was without a doubt the best experience I've ever had in the theater. I mean, I loved everything about it. The action, the comedy moments, the 3-hour runtime, the actors' chemistry, etc. It is safe to say that the portal scene is my favorite moment in history of cinema. Performance-wise, I thought everybody did a phenomenal job. The actors gave this film great performances. For me, it was Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man who stole the show. Josh Brolin once again blew me away as his portrayal of the Mad Titan Thanos, and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans concluded their journey as Iron Man and Captain America, which was super satisfying but also super sad. My only problem with the movie is I thought Scarlett Johansson didn't get enough time to shine as Black Widow, and I felt we could have been given more time on to mourn about her sacrifice and what she did. I also really like how Tony, when he saw Spider-Man, gave him a big hug, because back in Homecoming, Peter tried to give him a hug, and Tony was like, "We're not there yet." And I just thought that was a full circle moment to them. I also didn't expect Thor to go for the head within the first 20 minutes of the movie. If this wasn't kids movie, they wouldn't have done that. But even still, I think this was good. I think that it was super necessary, and he did go for the head, so I thought that was... But in my opinion, the real hero was the Rat in this movie, because I don't think they would have come up with the idea for time travel if it wasn't for the Rat. All in all, I think Avengers Endgame is a masterpiece of a film, and people will talk about till the end of time, or even longer. And you guys gotta see this. This is a must-watch movie experience, which is why I rate it 11 out of 10. I rate it 1,000 out of 10. It's just that good. And with that being said, guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android, and if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single upload. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to my gaming channel and follow my TikTok. Link will be in the description, both of these things. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.